So talk with me a little bit about sort of the big takeaways from the Inspector General's report, if you would.
Well, I mean, a unbelievable amount of bias from the key people who ran the Clinton investigation and then went on the Russian investigation team. So you look at the top people at the FBI. James Comey, former director, has been fired from the FBI. Andy McCabe, deputy director at the FBI, fired, faces criminal referral. According to the Inspector General, lied 3 times under oath. Chief of Staff Jim Rubicki has left the FBI. Chief Counsel Jim Baker was demoted and then left the FBI. Lisa Page, FBI counsel, was demoted and then left the FBI. And then, of course, Peter Strzok, deputy head of counterintelligence, was demoted and was just escorted out of the FBI just a few days ago. So these are the key top 6 people, I mean, important players in the FBI. They all were the key players in the Clinton investigation, all key players in the Russian investigation, and they've either been fired, demoted, left, reassigned. I've never seen anything like that. So, and my guess is, all the great work that Judicial Watch has done over the years, and your time here in Washington, D.C., you've probably never seen any federal agency where the top people had that happen to them. And those same top people were the key players in the 2 biggest investigations the Department of Justice probably did in the last couple of years.
It is a pretty shocking result. So talk with me about what the Inspector General found in terms of, because all of these people ended up leaving. So obviously there was a lot there. So talk to me a little bit about what the IG found.
Yeah.
And then maybe what you think was maybe left
I heard someone
unsaid.
say it this way, and it's probably a pretty apt comparison. They said the Inspector General's report was kind of like Comey's July 5th press conference. Remember where Comey laid out all the negative things, wrong things that Secretary Clinton did with her email server and all the things that were wrong. And then at the end he says, but oh, by the way, no one would prosecute this case, and we're not going to either. Same sort of thing happened with Mr. Horowitz's report, and I think Michael did a great job. It was very thorough. He answered all the right questions, and he said he showed all the bias that existed, particularly between Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, but also FBI attorney number 2, someone we didn't really know about until this report came out. All the bias they had, the animus, some would say hatred they had of President Trump, and yet he points this all out, shows how bad it was, shows how wrong it was, says it was wrong, said there needs to be some disciplinary action taken at the FBI. But then at the end he says, you know what though, we do not think this bias impacted the decisions of the prosecutors in the end when they chose not to prosecute Secretary Clinton. So that was a little odd, I think, at the end. But overall, I give the Inspector General high marks for digging into and exposing the bias. And probably the best example is, remember, the Russian investigation gets opened up on July 31st, 2016. 1 week later, August 6th, Peter Strzok says, I can help my country on many levels. 2 days after that, we have the now famous text message where he says, we will stop Trump. And 1 week after that, on August 15th, is the text about, we have an insurance policy. So think about it. They open up the Russian investigation on President Trump, and within the next 15 days, he's saying, I can help my country on many levels. We will stop him. He's not going to be elected because we have an insurance policy. That is scary, particularly when you're talking about the deputy head of the counterintelligence and you're talking about the individual who was the guy who ran the Clinton investigation on a daily basis and was the lead investigator on the Russian investigation. Earlier in the campaign, when it looks like President Trump is going to be the nominee, they say Trump's awful, Trump's an idiot, Trump's a bleeping idiot. There's no way he should win. Hillary should win 100 million to 0. So the extreme bias they had is there. It's one thing to say things like that, but it's another thing to say, we will stop him. It's one thing to say Trump's awful, but it's different when you say we will stop him, and you're making that statement just 8 days after you've opened up an investigation into President Trump, the Russian investigation. So that to me was where I sort of missed the sort of was the disconnect. All this bias, yes, but you said it didn't impact decisions. But remember, Trump's awful is one kind of statement. Another kind of statement is you say that he said was, we will stop him. So that to me was where I think many Americans are asking, really, how could the bias not have impacted the final decisions?